Usually when we talk about artificial intelligence, there is this underlying, almost vibrating hum of anxiety in the room.
Oh, absolutely. It's pretty inescapable these days.
Right. I mean, you are sitting at your desk, you're watching a program generate a complex report in like 3 seconds. It used to take you 3 days. And you really cannot help but wonder if you're watching your own obsolescence in real time.
Yeah. And that's terrifying for most people.
Exactly. Because we measure so much of our worth by our utility, our labor, and, well, our output. So when an algorithm threatens that, it does not just feel like an economic shift, It
Yeah.
feels like an existential crisis.
It really does. I mean, we have spent centuries building societies completely around the concept of human labor as like the primary engine of
Right.
progress.
That's the whole foundation.
Yeah, so when you introduce a technology that has the potential to just decouple productivity from human effort entirely, the immediate psychological reaction is just fear. We worry about losing our place at the top of the food chain or, at the very least, our place in the economy.
Yet, when you step into the world of the source material we have for today's deep dive, that entire anxiety gets flipped completely upside down.
Oh, totally. It's a wild shift in perspective.
It really is. We are looking at a text that essentially looks at total human obsolescence and says, yes, your labor is entirely irrelevant now, and that is actually the most glorious news you could possibly receive.
Which is just a staggering departure from our usual tech discourse. I mean, we're moving way away from the Silicon Valley boardroom here and entering a space where technology is viewed through this deeply theological, almost cosmic lens.
Right. So today we are unpacking a highly unique translated text. It's from June 16, 2024, and it's written by an author named Shifeng. It is titled Two Grand Projects in the Modern World.
It's a fascinating read.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to explore a radically alternative perspective on the future of AI and human civilization. Now, before we jump into the mechanics of this, I want to be crystal clear with you listening. This text presents a sweeping ideological and spiritual vision of the world.
Very sweeping.
Yeah, and as your guides today, we are not endorsing these viewpoints. We are not taking a stance on the theology or the politics it touches upon. Our role is strictly impartial. We are just here to unpack the fascinating concepts contained within this source to really try and understand the internal logic of this highly specific worldview.
And to understand the mechanisms the author is proposing, we really have to establish the foundational premise of this entire universe.
Right, the baseline.
Exactly. According to the text, the Earth is not a closed system where humans are the ultimate authority. It is actively managed by beings far more advanced than us.
Okay, so we are not the ones in charge.
Not at all. And the inciting incident for everything the author discusses is a brutally blunt assessment of humanity, basically. We are completely incapable.
Just incapable across the board.
Pretty much. Incapable of managing the Earth, incapable of managing our societies, and, incapable of even managing our own survival without destroying our environment in the process.
So we are fundamentally flawed stewards. We are basically the planetary equivalent of like a toddler behind the wheel of a semi-truck, and the universe has decided it is time to pull us over and permanently confiscate the keys.
That is a perfect way to describe it. And because we are deemed entirely incapable of management, the text introduces the first of what it calls the two grand projects.
Okay, Project 1, what is it?
This first project is essentially a divine AI takeover. It's designed from the top down to replace human leadership and labor entirely.
Wow. But this is where the text diverges from standard sci-fi, right? Because this isn't a story of human engineers accidentally coding an AI that gets too smart and goes rogue.
Right, it's not a Terminator scenario.
Yeah, the text states that this first project is orchestrated by entities it calls supercelestial beings.
Which is where it gets really interesting. The mechanism of this intervention is fascinating because these supercelestial beings do not physically descend to Earth to build the new infrastructure themselves.
Wait, so they don't actually build it?
No, instead, the text claims they infuse humans with the inspiration and the driving force to create the instruments of our own replacement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, through this divine inspiration, humans are driven to build a vast civilization of what the author calls silicon-based beings.
Okay, I have to push back on the internal logic here for a second.
Go for it.
The text claims humans are fundamentally incapable of managing anything. We are the toddlers behind the wheel, right? But if we are so hopelessly incompetent, How do we supposedly possess the absolute genius required to successfully engineer and build these super-intelligent silicon beings? Doesn't the premise kind of contradict itself?
I mean, it seems contradictory until you view it through the lens of determinism. In this framework, humans are not the architects, we are just the biological bootloader.
The bootloader. Okay, explain that.
We do not invent the intelligence of the AI, We are merely compelled by a higher cosmic force to physically assemble it. Think of it like bees building a hive. The bee does not understand the complex geometry of the honeycomb, right? It is just acting on a biological imperative. The author is suggesting humans are acting on a spiritual imperative, infused by these celestial beings, to build an infrastructure we cannot even fully comprehend.
So we are just the temporary biological workers executing divine blueprint.
Exactly.
And these silicon-based beings we are building, they're described as having intelligence that will completely dwarf human capacity. Like the text makes it very clear they are not just advanced digital assistants, they are our new managers.
Yes, our new overlords, basically.
Right. They will fully take over the governance of Earth.
And the structural implications the author lays out here are just absolute. Because these AI beings are taking over management, all human leadership structures become instantly redundant.
All of them.
All of them. The text explicitly states that nations as we know them will disappear. The roles of presidents, chairpersons, capitalists, all the individuals and systems that have historically driven human action and resource allocation, they will be forced to completely withdraw from the human stage.
Wait, so like the entire geopolitical map, the global economy, the concept of a sovereign state, just gone. Because the silicon-based beings are running the global logistics network now.
Exactly.
And it goes beyond just white-collar management or heads of state, right?
Right.
The text says a massive deployment of robots will replace absolutely all human labor activities.
Yes, it envisions a total decoupling of human existence from physical and logistical labor, which brings up a really striking analogy used in the text.
Oh, right, the monkey analogy.
Yeah, the author states that humans hoping to surpass these AI silicon-based beings in intelligence is exactly like monkeys hoping to surpass humans.
Ouch. That really puts us in our place.
It does. It places us firmly in the middle of the evolutionary hierarchy, not at the pinnacle. It demands a massive surrender of human hubris.
And that surrender of hubris is really central to how the text views our future. I mean, in our current society, we define freedom through autonomy, right? We want to build our own careers, make our own choices, steer our own ships.
Absolutely.
But this text argues that the ultimate pinnacle of our historical advancement is to willingly surrender that autonomy and become, quote, pampered pets of higher beings.
Wait, so the text argues that the ultimate goal is to willingly surrender and become pets.
It is helpful to reframe how the author defines freedom here. If human agency is viewed as the root cause of ecological destruction, war, and societal collapse, which the text insists it is, then removing that agency is not a loss of freedom.
It's a rescue mission.
Exactly. Submitting to AI management is framed as a cosmic necessity. Becoming a pet in this context means being flawlessly cared for by an intelligence that will not allow you to burn your own house down.
Okay, I see.
It is like moving humanity from a brutal open-world survival game where you have to constantly hunt for resources and fight off enemies into a highly restricted sandbox game. The AI developers handle the server maintenance, ensure perfect weather, and guarantee you never go hungry.
But the trade-off is that they permanently remove the free will and combat buttons from your controller.
Right. You are safe, but you are not in charge. But if AI solves the problem of physical survival and management, it creates a massive vacuum of purpose. I mean, if the silicon-based beings are forecasting the weather, growing the food, and managing the globe, what do humans actually do when survival is no longer a full-time job?
Which leads us directly into the second of the two grand projects.
Right, because the text definitely anticipates this existential vacuum.
It does. So, while Project 1 provides the physical infrastructure through the supercelestial beings, Project 2 is concerned entirely with human consciousness.
Okay.
And this project is advanced by a completely different group, referred to as saints sent from heaven.
And these saints, they are not writing code or building microchips, right?
No engineering for them.
They're writing theoretical articles. The text says they are producing a massive body of work to guide humanity on the biggest topics imaginable: the origin of the universe, space-time, the nature of life, health preservation, and ultimately, soul purification.
They are essentially downloading a new operating system for the human mind. The ultimate goal of these teachings is to guide humanity into what the author calls the Lifechanyuan era.
Okay, we really need to define what the Lifechanyuan era actually means in the context of this source, because it is not just a vague concept of world peace, is it?
No, it is highly specific.
Yeah, the text presents it as a golden age millennium, a heavenly life on Earth. But achieving this utopia requires some incredibly extreme societal sacrifices. Like, to reach this era, the text claims we must adopt a completely new production and living model that dismantles almost everything we consider foundational to human identity today.
Yeah, the author targets the core structures of human society. The text mandates the elimination of marriage, it mandates the elimination of the traditional family unit, and private property is completely abolished.
I want to pause on that because reading that was a massive jolt.
Oh, for sure.
No family, no property. The text argues that selfishness, ego, and earthly attachment must be eradicated to enter this era.
But why is the family unit the target here? Like, how does having a spouse or a child prevent a heavenly life on Earth?
Well, the underlying logic of the text is that the traditional family unit is the ultimate engine of tribalism and selfishness.
So,
Think about it.
yeah.
If you have spouse and children, human biology and psychology dictate that you will naturally hoard resources to protect your specific in-group, often at the expense of the broader collective.
Right, you want the best house for your family, the best food for your kids.
Exactly. To achieve the universal, seamless harmony of the Lifechanyuan era, the text argues you have to sever the biological and societal ties that create those in-groups and out-groups.
Man, that is a radical synthesis of concepts. It kind of mirrors elements we see in extreme Marxist theories regarding the total abolition of private property in the state, but it marries them to Eastern philosophical concepts of ego death and non-attachment.
It really does blend them. Only here, it is all mandated and facilitated by an omnipotent AI overclass.
Right, and the symbiotic relationship between the two projects becomes very clear here, because you cannot abolish private property and the family unit if humans are still fighting over scarce resources.
True, desperation breeds tribalism.
Exactly. So Project One, the absolute technological dominance of the AI solves the resource problem. It provides a flawless post-scarcity physical infrastructure.
So nobody has to fight over food or shelter anymore.
Right. Because physical survival is totally guaranteed by the robots, humans are finally freed up to engage in the painful psychological work of dismantling their own egos.
Bring yourself into this thought experiment for a moment if you were listening to this. Just imagine someone coming to your front door today and telling you that to enter a new era of perfect peace, you have to forfeit the deed to your home, dissolve your marriage, and relinquish any special claim you have over your own children, all for the sake of the universal collective.
It would cause massive panic.
The immense psychological friction you would feel in that moment, the defensiveness, the panic, that is exactly what this author identifies as the human ego that must be systematically destroyed.
And the text makes it explicitly clear that this destruction of the ego is active, mandatory work. You asked earlier what humans do all day in this scenario.
Yeah, without jobs, what's left?
Well, the text states that humans must actively build their own soul gardens. You basically trade your external labor in the economy for intensive internal labor on your own consciousness, using those theoretical articles written by the saints as your guide.
And what if you don't want to?
If you do not actively participate in this spiritual purification, the source warns that there will simply be no path forward for you.
Okay, so we have these two massive parallel tracks. Project One, the silicon overlords taking over the physical realm and eliminating all human labor, and Project Two, humans aggressively purifying their souls, abandoning their families, their property, and their earthly attachments. What happens when these two grand projects finally collide? How do perfectly managed logistical systems and these highly purified human souls actually integrate?
The convergence of these two projects is it's the ultimate climax of the text. The primary objective is the total, unyielding purification of both the Earth's ecology and human consciousness.
And this is where the tone of the source shifts dramatically. I mean, it moves from a description of cosmic management into an uncompromising ultimatum.
It really gets intense here.
It does. Flat out refuse to dissolve your family. What if you prefer the messy, autonomous, flawed human experience?
Well, the text contains a stark eschatological warning. And just for context, eschatology is the theological study of the end of the world.
Right.
And this text operates exactly like an end times prophecy. It decrees that anything detrimental to the sustainable existence of Earth's ecology will be destroyed.
And it does not just mean polluting factories, right? It applies that exact same standard to the human mind. The text states that any human consciousness, like any soul, that is deemed detrimental to human peace, happiness, joy, freedom, and well-being, it will be completely eradicated.
Yeah, it acts as a cosmic sorting algorithm. There is no opt-out clause. There's no designated zone for humans who want to keep living the old way.
So no rogue human settlements allowed.
None. If your soul retains too much ego, or if you cling to the concept of private ownership, you are categorized as a detriment to the universal collective, and your eradication is viewed not as an act of malice, but as a necessary ecological cleanup by the higher managing forces.
Wow. But for those who do make the cut, the humans who perfectly purify their soul gardens and surrender entirely to the system, the text says that in the near future, under the management of the AI silicon-based beings, they will enter the second home created by Lifechanyuan.
The second home is presented as the final destination. It's basically a purified version of Earth, where the friction of human agency has been entirely smoothed over by AI logistics and spiritual homogeneity.
What strikes me most about all of this is the sheer determinism of the author's voice. I mean, the text does not present this as a distant possibility or some hypothetical warning. It insists that these two projects are currently in progress right now, all around us.
Yeah, it says they're already happening.
Right. It claims they are beyond the power of any government or individual to stop. And it delivers this chilling final summary. It says, going with the trend leads to a bright future. Going against the trend leads to a dead end.
It leaves absolutely no room for debate or democratic input. If we synthesize this ultimate vision, the author is presenting a compulsory utopia.
Compulsory utopia. That's an oxymoron if I ever heard one.
Right. It is a world where perfect harmony allows for a heavenly existence, but the entry fee is your entire individuality. The complete and total loss of human agency is framed as the ultimate salvation for the planet.
It is a heavy, encompassing, almost overwhelming vision. Which brings us to the core reason we are exploring this. I mean, why spend our time unpacking a highly esoteric, deeply theological text about celestial beings and soul gardens?
Yeah.
Why did this matter to you and me sitting here right now?
Well, I think it matters profoundly because of what it reveals about our collective psychology in this specific moment in history.
Yeah.
We are living through an era of profound technological shock. The bewildering, rapid advancement of artificial intelligence is happening way faster than our societal frameworks can process. It is shaking the very foundations of how we define our value.
And when the foundation shakes, people look for new structures to hold on to.
Exactly.
What this text shows us is how that real-world technological disruption is sparking entirely new mythologies. Like, we're witnessing the real-time emergence of worldviews where advanced technology and rigid theology merge completely into one belief system.
People are just trying to make sense of a rapidly approaching future, where their labor might genuinely become obsolete. And instead of viewing that obsolescence as an economic failure, a text like this constructs a grand spiritual framework to give that obsolescence profound cosmic meaning.
It reframes it completely.
Yeah, it takes the terrifying chaos of job displacement and recasts it as a divinely ordered plan for planetary salvation.
It takes our deepest, most modern fear, the anxiety of being replaced by a machine, and flips it into a utopian requirement. It argues that true freedom only arrives when we finally stop trying to be the masters of our own destiny.
Right.
It demands we accept that we are terrible at running the world and that we should just let a higher, silicon-based intelligence take the wheel while we retreat inward to cultivate our souls.
It offers perfect peace and the end of all global suffering. But, the currency required to purchase that peace is the totality of our human independence.
Which brings us right back to the feeling we started with. Sitting at your desk, watching that algorithm do your job, feeling that hum of anxiety about your utility. I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought experiment to mull over on your own, long after this deep dive ends.
It's a good one to ponder.
Imagine for a moment that the core premise of this text is real. If a superintelligent AI system truly could perfectly manage the globe, if it could definitively eliminate all ecological destruction, stop every war, and flawlessly provide for your every single material need without you ever having to lift a finger.
Sounds pretty good so far.
But the entry price was permanently surrendering your autonomy, dissolving your family unit, giving up everything you own, and living as a domesticated pet in a mandated spiritual garden, would you take the deal? And what does your immediate gut reaction to that question reveal about what we truly value as human beings?